I'm here about my usual topic, the Bathey site pollution. I'm wondering if the commissioners had a chance to look at that review that Jason Knopka had submitted to you, particularly on page 128 apparently. It says that the city was observed dumping liquid waste on the site in 2006, and do we know if that was the only instance of that, or are we aware of that at all? According to this report, that's what it states. So I'll let everybody digest that again.
All right.
But again, we are very sincere about our hope that this can be resolved with that very dangerous site. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am. Well, Chris, do you want to speak to that now?
Well, I admit I have not read the report. Years ago, when the city owned the property, that was the location where we dumped our leaves when we did bulk leaf cleanup. And from there, yeah, there was liquid that got mixed in with leaves. Relative to other waste, I can remember times where we would have water main break and the concrete and or asphalt and some of the dirt got dumped there, but liquid waste, I'm not aware of that now.
Can I respond at the same time?
Sure.
Just to be consistent. I read the report, not every word of it, and I'm very familiar with the site, as you hopefully know. I went through every single piece of paper that the city's got on that site. There's no way with the policies and the requirements that are in place that the city would dump waste. It's water, and what the report says is the city was observed dumping water. It doesn't say waste. And that report also is 11 years old, and a lot of the things that are referenced in that report are no longer applicable because a lot of the things that were causing the problems are gone. So I am very well aware of what people are saying about it, but you can rest assured, the city it would be illegal. The city's not going to do something like that.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Good evening. Your name and address, please.
Pardon me?
Your name and address, please.
I'm sorry.
Your name and address for the
I
minutes?
was just going to say,
Okay.
Holly Smith, I live at 230 Parkview Drive. My yard is directly across the street from the Bath property. As I've been reading that 400-page information, all sorts of chemicals, in that they're saying that arsenic is all there. On the surface, that blows into my yard. It blows into my house. Is anyone taking responsibility for anything that happens? There's children who live that back up to that property that are exposed to this day in, day out.
And I would just like to point out again that that report is 11 years old.
I understand,
And the
but
buildings-
not everything has been done.
But what has changed since then is that the buildings that were on the property have been demolished in that time period. Lots and lots of things changed because of the demolition of those buildings. When the current owner bought the property, there was the majority of what's referenced in that document is a Phase 1 environmental that was done. A Phase 1 environmental study is done to assess the environmental condition of a property. The only reason that a Phase 2 environmental study is done is if troublesome levels of any of these substances are found. And that's not the case. No Phase 2 has been required on that property. So we have been, if the person who develops that, the property is for sale again, as I'm sure you clearly know.
Yes.
Whoever develops the property will have to do another environmental study before they're allowed to do any building on the property. It's the law. It's the way things work. And that's when we'll assess present-day conditions. But the information that's being referenced, that you're talking about now, that's being plastered all over Facebook, is old information that doesn't apply to that property today.
Okay. On your own information on Facebook that came out from you guys, had said there were 30 underground tanks that were still there. Has anyone known what's in them, or are they
They're
degrading?
empty.
And you
Yeah,
know
it's
for
my,
a fact that
well,
they're
what,
empty.
just bear in mind, that's partial information. That's what we saw in the documentation of all the papers that I went through. And the whatever may or may not be there, a lot of what's in that report, that big, long report that you're discussing, says may, could, possibly. It doesn't say that it is any of it, that it's absolutely what the case is. But it
So
doesn't.
it could be there, but no one has bothered to find out if it is, so that the rest of us could sleep better at night? I mean, we talked about the phase 1 and the phase 2 before, and you had said you were going to send the phase 2 report that it says in the city information to Phil. Phil never got the
There is no
copy.
phase 2.
Because it was discussed before when we were here.
I'm not quite sure what you're referring to, but there is no phase 2. And when the person develops the property, whoever eventually develops the property, if it gets developed, that's when the current conditions will be assessed.
It just amazes me that, we can spend millions of dollars widening, or narrowing Harvey 2 inches, but yet, because we live on the other side of the tracks, it doesn't matter if there's a toxic waste there that's running down into Hines. So now I've contacted the Friends of the Rouge, because with all that rain, everything runs right down our street, erodes the road there. There's a hole that's this deep next to the stop sign that becomes a river and runs right into Hines. So I guess we just need to go the next step and contact environmental people and find out what they can find out. Because we keep asking and we keep giving information, and we're getting nothing back except there's nothing there, there's nothing there. There could be something there, but there's really nothing there. But we don't know because we've never really checked. Right? No one has ever really checked.
There
So-
are hundreds of parcels of land in the city of Plymouth that we have never checked for environmental waste. Hundreds of them.
But this one, you know.
My house
there's
has
a
never
problem.
been checked. Some of this hyperbole, some of this, we're on the other side of the road, so it doesn't matter. I'll speak for myself in a moment. I don't care where you live. I care about you as a resident of the city of Plymouth. I don't care if you live in downtown. I don't care if you live in Old Village. I don't care if you live anywhere. This is private property. And if you think the government can just storm in there and do with it what we want, we can't.
We're not saying you're gonna storm and do what you.
No, you guys
A
are-
soil sample is going to do that, but how long did it take us to get them to mow down the grass? If I leave my grass grow, I get fined $100 and you'll come by and mow it.
And we-
right?
and we took
If
care of
it's
that.
longer than 8 inches, but it went almost a year before they cut that down. Did they get fined?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, unfortunately, you don't like our answers. Sometimes the answer
It
isn't,
doesn't solve my problem that there's a toxic thing there that shows that there's all this toxic waste that was there, wasn't taken away. Chances are there's 30 tanks underground with what we don't know, if they're even still intact, or if they rotted away and are polluting. We don't know because we don't want to know.
Have you contacted Mr. Tortora and asked him?
What, the owner?
Yeah. Well, have you? I mean, if you're that concerned, call the guy who owns it.
I'm not the only one. There's the whole neighborhood.
Okay.
And they all have children.
We will
They're
do,
worried about their
right.
children being out playing on the lawn and that stuff is blowing in their face.
Okay. All right. Is there any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move on to approval of the agenda.
I'll move the agenda.